Good evening and welcome to episode 85 of the Jacksonian. I'm yours truly, Jatson Johnson, and back with me from the merry month of May is the co-host of Unfair Sports, the one and only himself, Eric Cooper, as we'll be talking a lot about the Oklahoma Sooners so far throughout this 2025 season. And we go over a little bit of a preview of Oklahoma, Tennessee, and much, much more. And let me tell you something, folks, you're going to be in for a wild ride. How you doing today, good buddy?
Jackson, man, I'm doing well. The fall weather has hit now, and so I look outside. It's been raining here in Oklahoma the past couple days. We saw rain on the field the entire Friday, Saturday for this past weekend, and I myself am in a better mood when it's a little bit cooler outside.
I know, right? It's the cold is coming. I tell you what, although in Bama, it doesn't know what weather it's gonna be.
that's uh that's pretty much how it goes around here for most part. Once it finally makes up its mind, it'll dip down. So hopefully, as long as we're done with 90s, like I can handle like a low to mid 80s. As long as we don't eclipse the 90s from this point on, I looking at the trees, a little bit of yellow, not a lot of brown yet. So hopefully here sometime soon.
Oh, no doubt about it. And for those who don't know about you, would you like to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Eric Cooper. I'm actually a sales director full time for my real big boy job with USA Today, and also a co host of kind of a collection of podcasts. We have the Sooner or Later podcast and Unfair Sports. Me and Jay Smith. Jay also does some work on Locked On. I get to do some time out there too. So, just the a nice collaboration of content creators. We started this right after Brent Venables, took over as the head coach at Oklahoma, and man, I'm not gonna lie. I think it would have been great to do this right around the Lincoln Riley days because the frustration was. It seemed like it had bigger peaks during that time, but no. And we've been going at it here for just over 3 years and working on some couple of other things. Jay and I are currently so hopefully better things to come still. But check us out again, Unfair Sports or Sooner or Later podcast. You can find us on the Twitters. You can find us on there we go on YouTube, etc.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Man, I just gotta tell you, we've been having a wild season so far, and we'll just give a little look back at the schedule from this year. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So this is where like things were really turning around for Oklahoma was that week 2 victory over Michigan. That's been kind of a turning point so far.
Yeah. You start out with Illinois State. Illinois State, obviously, lower division team, one of the better ones out there. They go toe to toe with the South Dakota states and North Dakota states that are always really really good. We welcome Michigan into town, and that was a fun game. OU, that was a game definitely that it wasn't as close as the score was type of a situation. Oklahoma, so far this year, it seems like we do a couple of things to keep people, a little bit closer than they probably deserve to be. Great game. That defense from Michigan showed up really, really well. Our offense was able to hit some big plays. John Mateer kind of in full John Mateer mode at that point in time. But yeah, I was at that game personally, and we were hoping that it was going to be like 95 degrees and welcoming Michigan fans to hell on earth at 95 degrees while they were up in Ann Arbor, relaxing in 70-degree. But we got a cool front that weekend, and so it wasn't as bad. But it definitely was a very very entertaining game.
Oh man, no doubt. Like the Michigan game, I see Auburn. It was a shame that Oklahoma lost to Texas, but as we've seen in years past for the Oklahoma Sooners, just because you lose the Red River rivalry does not mean you're automatically out of contention. Like you've seen it throughout. most of your life,
Yeah.
seen it throughout most of my life. A lot of people watching this episode have seen it through most of their lives.
Yeah, the recency bias around the Red River game has been obviously in favor of Texas. Brent Venables, when he showed up, he took over. I mean, I want to say that it was Oklahoma had won. Man, I want to say it was like 12 of the past like 16, attempts. The last time Texas had beat us prior to Venables' first year was in 2018. They beat us in the regular season. Then OU got revenge in the Big 12 championship game. That was the Kyler Murray year, and we went and played Alabama that year, and that kind of showed us what OU was a phenomenal offensive team and just kind of a laughing stock on defense. And this year, the Auburn Tigers game, for those who don't know, John Mateer actually broke his wrist/thumb in the first quarter of the Auburn game. Dude stayed in, and this has actually happened to two different players on the team, Jackson. I don't know if you knew this either, but John Mateer breaks his thumb in first quarter, plays the entire game. He goes ahead for the eventual game-winning score. Runs the ball into the end zone himself. Sooners had sacked Jackson Arnold, our previous quarterback, 10 times in that game. Just had them in absolute hell the entire game. But that Sunday night, we have news starts kind of getting out that Mateer had an issue with his thumb and his knee. And so, kind of looking in it, I remember it was on that following Monday, right around noon. We had kind of an insider group text with Jay, myself, and a couple of other guys. And I said, guys, I'm hearing that this thumb thing might be a little bit bigger of a deal than we're seeing. And of course, they all check sources, and nobody can definitively say no, nobody can definitively say yes. And about 30 seconds later, the university puts out, and then like seconds later, ESPN puts out something that says John Mateer is, set to undergo surgery for a broken thumb sustained during the Auburn game. And so it happened at a time to where I think the game plan with, and if you follow any Oklahoma Twitter at all, they went to a surgeon in California called Dr. Shin, and they had kind of a game plan put together with, hey, listen, you guys got a bye week this week. You're going to have Kent State. You could play whoever at that game, and you guys are going to get out of there with a win. There's a good chance that with everything goes right, he could be back for Texas. And so at that point, there was a lot of cute gamesmanship, and in hindsight, kind of just all looked silly in the end. OU's up at halftime over Texas 6-3. John Mateer plays the game. And then all of a sudden, it just starts going sideways. He starts throwing interceptions. Defense stays on the field for 3/4 of the rest of the game. I think that OU actually had possession for just over a minute in the third quarter, and so that's hard. Even a great defense, you're on the field for that long because your offense can't do anything. That's a tough ask. So in both the games between Auburn and between Texas and Ole Miss this past week, you're seeing a John Mateer that just he keeps on saying he doesn't trust his eyes. And if you watch the Ole Miss game, I mean, Lane Kiffin did OU a lot of favors and made a lot of decisions that really kept Oklahoma in the game. And at the end of the day, Mateer, just wasn't able to hit on some passes, and you end up losing the game.
Man, that's just been it. It was not good on Saturday against Ole Miss, obviously, because I mean it's like I was thinking it would be another big game loss for Ole Miss, right? And with these distractions that Lane Kiffin's dealing with,
Yeah.
that he's going to be likely offered the LSU head coaching job, and I'm sure there's talks with Florida at the moment. And like, good grief, like clock management not been looking good for Oklahoma against Ole Miss. Although To be honest, when you go against Tennessee, Tennessee's even worse about it.
um, I mean, like I said, OU has more than its fair share of opportunities to win that Ole Miss game. Lane Kiffin has Trinidad Chambliss out there, and he is. What's crazy about that is, Trinidad just barely completed over 50% of his passes. But it just seemed like undisciplined and untimely mistakes by Oklahoma. Just would not. It kind of reminded me actually of last year's Tennessee game, to where the defense would turn over Tennessee, and the very next play, Jackson Arnold would give the ball right to Tennessee. It happened twice, almost happened three times. And in the Ole Miss game, you get the ball in plus territory at like the 29-yard line, and you gain. I'm guessing it was under 10 yards total field position. You kick a field goal, and instead of being up 10-3, or being up at that point, like you kick field goal. And so a little bit later in the game, same situation happens again. They take out Chambliss. He puts in Simmons. Simmons misfires on several passes. They ended up not being able to score a touchdown at that point. And then, we shoot ourselves in the foot. We have a third and 12 opportunity. We chase down Chambliss, sack him for a 17-yard loss, flag on the play. R. Mason Thomas lines up offsides, a fumbled punt return, to go, with the game, at a 5-point game, you literally fumbled the ball about the 45-yard line. And so it just was one thing after another. And not so much clock mismanagement, but it was just discipline mismanagement, every single bit of the discipline, and that's been a big plague for Brent Venables in his tenure. Nobody's going to doubt the fact that he went from a laughingstock defense to one of the better defenses in the country, but there's always something. There's always a fumble on special teams. There's always just a bobble, while returning a kick and taking the ball. Taking the ball in a really bad scenario. You line up, you're at the 7-yard line, and you line up in illegal formation, and it moves you back. Next play, you run a stretch play that you haven't ran all season, you get a safety. So it seems like there's a lot of discipline issues, and this league very well. You can't go on the road to Tennessee and Alabama the 2 of the next 3 weeks, and then you welcome home Missouri and LSU. It's those teams are going to look for the opportunities, and that killer mentality is if Oklahoma messes up and gives you a fresh set of downs, turns the ball over, they're going to take advantage of it. And when you can't take advantage of it yourself, you're not going to win many games in this league.
No. Because it's like, I could see Oklahoma beating Tennessee on Saturday on the road. Because, it's just, again, Tennessee's clock management is going to do them in. Like, Tennessee's got this way of doing themselves in. They've been doing that all season. They did it against Mississippi State. They did it against Arkansas. They didn't do it against Kentucky, fortunately. For their sake.
Yeah. Tennessee also leads the nation in missed tackles. So again, work for USA Today. I was doing some research for a sales opportunity earlier today, and I come across the article, on one of our properties, and that's something, because Tennessee's defense was really, really good, and probably the difference between winning and a loss last year was their defense just kept Oklahoma's offense in hell. Also, the Sooners have found a little something in the running game. But Jackson, fun fact is, if you're running the ball successfully, you actually have to continue to hand the ball off in order to run the ball successfully. And Ben Arbuckle and staff kind of lost sight of that. Xavier Robinson, is a sophomore running back. We've been led by Torrey Blaylock, which is a freshman running back all season long. Offensive line, you're starting 2 true freshmen Now, granted, they were both. You had Michael Fasusi, who was a big 5-star guy, and right tackle Ryan Foje, who was borderline 5-star guy. But you get X Rob back, you get Blaylock still, doing what he's doing, and you go to South Carolina, you find some running. Xavier Robinson averaged 7 yards a carry against Ole Miss, had a 65-yarder where he just looked like a man child, was averaging 5 yards a carry. Outside of that, just dragging folks. And then you get back in the game, you get up by one, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's try some other stuff. And that's just, it was just silly. It literally looked really, really silly with a lot of the play calling. It's why a lot of the Sooner fans are absolutely just up in arms. So, but going to Tennessee this week, two things travel. Defense typically travels, and your running game typically travels. And so with a team that doesn't have, necessarily a stout defensive line, misses a lot of tackles, and there's a couple things that I'm practicing, early and often this week in practice for Oklahoma, and that's handing the damn ball off, because you can't give a dude averaging 7 yards a carry, all in all, 9 carries for the day. It's just not good math.
No. Well, and you want to make sure you can put a stop to Derek Bishop at Tennessee, because it was, because I remember watching Bama Tennessee a couple weeks back for third Saturday in October,
Yeah.
and it's a lucky thing our defense was stepping up, because one part of the game that went wrong for Bama was we couldn't stop the run game, especially on that second touchdown for Tennessee in the third quarter.
Well, I mean, one of the fun things is as you look across the SEC right now, like, OU has played, the best defenses that they're going to face this year. You look up, I was looking at like Ole Miss, or not, sorry, Ole Miss, but Georgia, it ranks like 131st in tackles for loss. Ranks in the hundreds for sacks. But then you look at Bama too, and it's kind of the same situation. It's Bama's tackle for loss is 72nd. Tennessee is 7th in tackles for loss. They're 3rd in sacks, but then they're 119th in pass defense and 54th in rush defense. So 110th in the country in points per game. So what do you make of it? Obviously Josh Heupel, led OU to a national championship in 2000. He was the offensive coordinator here for a long time. Prior to last year, the last time that Brent Venables and Heupel faced each other was in a bowl game, and OU got their butts handed to them while with Brent Venables as the DC down at Clemson. Last year, Venables absolutely pushed Heupel off of his game plan. They got to a spot to where it was just, let's keep the clock running, let's get out of here, because every time Nico dropped back, he was getting drilled. Every single guy that caught the ball, they were getting drilled. They had a comfortable lead. And so it's fun because Tennessee fans, like I've talked to a lot of them, there's not a lot of trash talk. They don't have a lot of faith right now just because they know that their defense really has some issues. And I got to think that 119th ranking in pass defense has a lot to do with the fact that dudes aren't making tackles. And another fun fact is if you don't tackle a guy, he's not necessarily going backwards. He's typically going to go get more yards. And so it's going to be a good atmosphere up there. Last time OU went to Tennessee was 2015. And a fella starting his first year at the quarterback at OU named Baker Reagan Mayfield, quarterback. But he also had some pretty stout dudes, Sterling Shepard at wide receiver, is currently on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with him, Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, Mark Andrews, all pro tight end. I mean, there's a lot of offensive weapons on that team.
Mark
now,
Andrews. Now that is a true Prince Andrews right there.
Yeah, Mark Andrews getting a little long in the tooth. He's been playing in Baltimore for a few years, but it should be good. And they're going to black out the stadium. And I would say that both fan bases probably going to have a collective clinching of the backsides. Just in preparation for this game. I don't think any fan base, either of them, are necessarily overconfident. And so you go to look at the stats. But the stats said OU was going to put it to Ole Miss last week, and it didn't happen.
Oh man, no doubt. But luckily, I think Mateer can get that passing game going. When you said Tennessee's 119th in the pass defense, man, Tennessee's gonna get chewed up like a chicken nugget.
Hey, here's the thing: dudes are running open. You got to see them. You got to throw the ball, and they got to catch it. And there's a lot of anxiety right now because Mateer, I don't know if it was just lack of confidence in a struggling offensive line. I don't know if it's like he says, my eyes, but there were multiple times you have guys just running wide open. We had a kind of a wheel option route to Satania on the road at South Carolina 2 weeks ago for a touchdown. Ran the same exact play. Ball is designed to go to him. He's running with nobody around him, and Mateer doesn't throw him the ball. You have Deion Burks, second-year receiver, transfer out of Purdue, and he's running, at the end of the game, he's running down the middle wide open. Mateer doesn't see him. If my goal is to throw the ball to wide open guys on a poor pass defense, then you got to actually let the ball loose. And, I think a lot of Oklahoma fans would rather see him take the opportunities and, maybe get an interception here or there versus, tucking the ball up in the middle and running into the back of his offensive line and falling for a loss. I mean, I think that's just kind of what we're all waiting for is when is Mateer going to get back to that kind of gunslinger, get the ball downfield and make a play mentality because, nobody can quite put a finger on what's been wrong with him the past couple weeks.
Well, I think he's worried about re-injuring that shoulder again. I think it's been a lot of it, so I think that could
Well,
be it.
I mean, you would think so. I mean, he says that the thumb injury is back. Is not bothering him anymore, and there's a couple times where he's not letting loose the ball, and there's nobody near him because he is on a sprint out or something. OU's run game on offense has been not terrific up until the past couple weeks, but the pass protection's been good. And so it's not been the pass protection that's been, his Achilles heel. It's been the run game. And, you also got to think about, Ben Arbuckle's 30-year-old dude. I'm not sure how old you are, Jackson. I'm definitely at 30 plus, a bigger number.
28.
And there, you're 28.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I mean, you're just 18 months or so younger than Ben Arbuckle. I think he just turned 30 a couple weeks back, um, but it's he's still learning. It's a lot different. When you're up at Washington State, there's not a lot of pressure. You just go out there and have fun versus putting a game plan together for fifth nationally televised game of the season. And people are yelling at you from the sidelines and yelling run the damn ball and what are we doing, and there's a lot of pressure that comes to that. And my hope and I say, like, I don't even need John Mateer to put himself back in the Heisman race. He was the leader in going into the week where he hurt his thumb. I don't even need that John Mateer at this point. Like, you just need a John Mateer who is good, like a Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma level of good, or what you saw at a Will Howard at Ohio State last year. Like, you just get the ball to your playmakers, let them do jobs instead of you trying to be a hero, because I think you've got complementary pieces all around you on offense right now, outside of the tight end. But even Jaron Kanik, he's done a great job filling in, coming over from a linebacker spot this last year. You've got pieces on offense to get yourself some good opportunities, and that's where John Mateer needs to realize it's not all on him. He can use the assets that he has around him.
Oh, no doubt. Like I'm just ready to see some more magic from a tier, and I think he can bring that confidence back within himself. And I would not be surprised when he does try to put a scare into Bama when it gets to the 15th of November. I mean, this come from a Bama man. Like, I mean, it's like, oof.
Well, hey, listen, I came on here and I told you there's zero chance in hell that OU is going to keep it close with Bama. And so watching that game last year. It felt like I was drunk watching the game, like I was like kind of in a daze or a dream. But when it all comes down to it, I mean, yeah, you've got a job to do. At this point, you don't want to speak of certain, what ifs. If OU
Yeah.
were to run the table, you're 10-2. You've got ranked win up and down your resume, and you're going to be in the playoff. I think that at 9-3 with a loss to Bama on the road, you still can say that. But
Oh,
these
can you
next two
imagine?
games,
Can you imagine if Michigan beats Ohio State for the fifth straight year? Like that would be really helpful for
it's
Oklahoma right there.
it does, and I think that Ohio State team is, um, that's kind of the sad part about the Big Ten. I mean, they play a Penn State team, which a lot of people had as a national championship pick this week.
Oh,
One of my top sellers, big Penn State fan, and he has no idea what to do with himself right now because he was like, could it happen? And he was like, I never allowed myself to really believe it, but Ohio State doesn't have anybody on their schedule, and they can go against Michigan, and it's probably going to be one of the better teams that they've faced throughout the season. I think that you get Arch Manning in Texas, game one. We've now seen since then that Arch is kind of a lame duck. They've had their issues up and down their roster. We'll see what happens. It looks like potentially Vanderbilt's going to be facing Matthew Caldwell, the backup quarterback this year, because Arch's head, smacked off the turf at the end of the
oh,
Mississippi State game. But man, I just think Ohio State is going to be facing a team with a pulse for the first time in quite a long time against Michigan. And I can tell you one thing: Michigan walks into that game just like Texas has with OU the past several years. They believe that they're going to win. It's not they don't believe that they can win. They believe that they're going to win.
mhm.
And until you break that, it's there, and the whole team feels it.
Oh yeah, I mean that's 100%, no doubt. I mean, because like Brent Venable's record against Texas, I mean, it's not good, obviously, but it's just something I've looked at was his former mentor, Dabo Sweeney, had a horrible record against South Carolina as well. Only
I
beat
know.
Spurrier twice. So it's
Yeah.
like for those that get upset about it, I'd look back at Dabo or Era Persigian winning 2 natties for Notre Dame, 1966-73. Only time Notre Dame beating USC didn't result in a natty was 1965.
It's it's funny how some teams just kind of have your number for the longest time, whether it was Lincoln Riley or Bob Stoops. Didn't matter if it was Charlie Strong or Tom Herman or Mac Brown. Like Stoops in Oklahoma, they won more than their fair share since Stoops got to OU, and since then, Venables has been one of three. You can draw up the asterisks of losing Dylan Gabriel the week before to a concussion and not having anybody on the roster who finished their finished their collegiate career as a quarterback, and then the last year's situation where you have potentially the worst offense Oklahoma has seen in 25 years. But this year, you were supposed to show up. You were a favorite by kickoff, and it just didn't happen. And so, same. Just go back to say is next year, I'll pick Texas to beat OU until OU proves me wrong, and that's what I'm doing this year with Michigan and Ohio State. Is I'll probably pick Michigan till Ohio State proves me wrong because I got to see it.
You know what I want to see for Christmas? A Texas Oklahoma rematch in the playoffs.
I've seen a couple models where they've had that. For
There's
a
no
while there,
rule saying it can't happen.
there's none, and I mean, let's be honest. You're going now. Listen, I think Texas has a bigger job to fulfill than Oklahoma does for that outcome because I do believe that Texas has Vanderbilt this week, and then they go to Georgia. They get Arkansas, who has proven that they can put up points, and then they finish the season with A&M. So there's a good chance that Texas can lose 3 of the 4 games, and a lot of haters would say all 4 of them because Arkansas is a big rivalry. But if that were to happen, having an OU Texas, I don't think that they have played anywhere outside the Dallas State Fair. I mean, in living memory, and so
Oh
that
man,
would mean that
they haven't played outside of Dallas in the Red River rivalry since 1923. That in
yes,
Austin, and it resulted in a 26-14 win. I mean, I'm just like looking this up. It's like, wow,
yeah,
102 years ago.
like I said, there's nobody really alive. I
Everybody
don't
was
think there's very many
walking
people
fast.
alive.
Everybody was
Yeah, and
walking fast in 1923, and Babe Ruth was hitting homers for the Yanks all over the
yeah,
place. Oh
it's
man.
but to have that first round playoff game, I've seen a couple models where it's Texas and OU as an 8/9 seed playing, and whether that would be in Norman
Please make that.
or in Austin, that would be legit. I saw a couple earlier in the season where a lot of people had OU and USC, or with USC and Lincoln Riley coming to Oklahoma, and I promise you, every Oklahoma fan in the world would be down for that one. But I think you're going to get a lot of AC teams in. I'm just at this point, it's how many, because
Oh yeah.
I think you get one out of the Big 12. There's a
Yeah.
potential you get maybe Georgia Tech and Miami out of the ACC. You
Oh, Miami
probably
will
get,
blow that somehow.
I mean, yeah, Carson Beck. I don't really trust him, but you probably look at Big Ten. You've got Indiana, you've got Ohio State, and you've got Oregon. If Oregon can kind of hold on, they're kind of dinged up right now. Maybe a Michigan, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Michigan. Yeah, so they've got 2 losses. They've got the one to USC and they've got the one to Oklahoma. If they win out, I mean, do you put Michigan in there? But regardless, that's 3, 4, 5, 6 of the that's 6 teams spoken for. So
Mhm.
is there a chance that you get 5 SEC teams in? How much craziness is going to happen up north in the Big Ten country if
Oh.
5 SEC teams make it to the playoff?
Oh man, like you definitely need to see if you want to see 5 SEC teams or have more than that, you definitely need Virginia to go down, which I have a feeling that's happening soon. I mean, I didn't even think anybody would be saying this. Like,
Rooting for a Virginia loss.
oh man, but it's just like but I feel like Virginia will lose anyhow. Because I mean, close win over Washington State. Inches short by North Carolina. That was a crazy finish. And
They
then
go t- they go to Cal. You got to think that that's a little bit of a trek across the whole dadgum country. Then you
oh,
come back home, got Wake Forest at home. Then you go at Duke. That's probably going to be your biggest opportunity, and then Virginia Tech to end the season.
Virginia Tech will win that one, I'm sure.
But also look at it as what happens. I mean, if you have Miami with a 1 loss, you've got I think Georgia Tech's still undefeated, right? And
Yeah.
then Virginia with 1 loss. Only 2 of those teams are going, and neither of them play. Trying to take a look here to see if do we get a Georgia Tech Miami
No,
this?
we don't have a Georgia Tech Miami regular season game on
No, you
television.
don't.
We don't have
So
a Georgia Tech Virginia regular season game. We don't have a Miami Virginia regular season game.
it's the
That's so crazy.
with all the stuff that they've tried to do with college football to kind of run into this situation where you still have like the best teams in the conference not seeing each other. When it's only a big deal if it's like you got 3 good teams and everybody else is just mid. Like a Big Ten, it's a big deal there because they got 3 teams. ACC, it's a big deal. Whereas in SEC, right now, I mean, you could say you got Texas A&M, you got Georgia, you got Bama, you got Oklahoma, you got Texas. There you got Vanderbilt, which is still hard and awkward for me to say out loud. you've got all these teams right now that, there's an argument that you could say I see a path towards them finishing 10-2. But they all play each other and they all get after each other, and it sorts itself out. But what happens if you have a Georgia Tech goes undefeated, Miami and Virginia have one loss apiece? Like, you get into tiebreakers, and then what happens in that game? Say Georgia Tech goes out and routs Miami by 30 points.
Oh,
Does Miami get to go to the playoffs? With two,
no.
losing two of their actual competent teams, and one of them a 30-point loss. So there's going to be upset people across the board. As long as we don't see a situation to where you get like an Oregon into the playoffs, and they have to face like Memphis, and then the Big 12 champion again, kind of how Texas did last year. There somebody's going to always get a little bit more of an easy route, and it doesn't make a ton of sense. So, listen, that's why we have 12-team playoffs. I mean, you've got a lot of opportunity for a lot of fan bases to stay a little bit more engaged. I feel bad for the other bowl games because like I forget about them. And I mean, if anything, you just watch it for a glutton for college football. Watching the Meineke Car Care Bowl on December 14th.
Oh man, and Pop Tart Bowl, the Outback Bowl. I mean,
I think there needs to be a Jacksonian Bowl. What do you need to do to raise these funds? The
oh,
Jacksonian Bowl down in
I need to.
Mobile.
Oh man, I guess I have to wait until Josh Pate's commissioner of college football.
There we go. There we
'Cause,
go.
I mean, if he becomes commissioner of college football, I'm gonna see if I can wrangle in a deal where I control all the schedules of college football, and that means Oklahoma gets to play Oklahoma State annually, Nebraska and Texas annually.
Hey, I don't think Oklahoma State wants that smoke right now.
Well, they're
They're
just gonna have to suck it up and deal with it. So
they're gonna. It's when you're losing to Tulsa and getting blown out 35 nothing. It's man, most of my family are Oklahoma State fans, and whoever comes in, I mean, they're going to need 2 to 3 years before they have a pulse again, because especially this year, I mean, any of the big conversations with all the coaches getting canned left and right,
oh,
it's a tough ask, because I mean, what are you going to have? LSU, you've got Florida, you got Penn State. I got to think that Hugh Freeze is. I mean, Hugh Freeze is just walking around in the shadows right now, hoping to God that nobody's noticing that he's still employed. You're going to have a lot of
well,
job
last
shuffling
week,
across the country.
oh man, last week Hugh Freeze was begging his boss for a
Vote of
vote of
confidence.
confidence. Oh my god! It and the image that On3 had of him, it looked like the face of a man that was just ready to get down on his knees and beg. It's like you're 56 years old. You don't do that. But then again, it's the same kind of guy that got fired by Ole Miss for using a school payphone to mess around behind his significant other's back.
You know, I mean, yeah, you still got the Arkansas job too. I didn't even think about that. Speaking of mess around
Oh,
behind your significant other's back.
oh my god! Like that whole mess of Petrino. Like, yeah, it's like in 2011, you got it all. You're bringing Arkansas back to where Frank Broyles had it, and you ruin it by messing around with some poontang behind your wife's back, getting her some jewelry for Christmas. Yeah, you wanted to show a little holly jolly Christmas, all right. But on the back of a motorcycle, and you're like, oh, I got this little rat. But then it's like, oh, you were cheating and you were lying about it. Oh, you're fired, pal.
Yeah, I can definitely say that one of the better images ingrained in my memory forever is going to be his face with the road rash, the neck brace, and the sling. And but like I said, about Hugh Freeze, just making sure nobody, like, he's quietly, like, he's he's a Texas win away from potentially being retained as head coach again. That offense is, one of the best ones in the country. And you've got a good quarterback who's out there, slinging it for you. You just continue to put a great offense out on the field, and it just kind of blows my mind because I could promise you this is when he disappeared, I never thought we would see him again. And here he is back at the same school, kind of in the same situation he was last time.
Oh man, I feel like Vanderbilt. Like I hope Vanderbilt pummels Auburn. I really do. I want to see Pavia just pummel Auburn so bad. Because it's like I feel like Auburn will keep it close with Bama, but Auburn, I'm sure they'll probably give Hugh Freeze that vote of confidence and go, okay, you got a vote of confidence, but you got till the end of September of next year. That's your last chance, buddy. And then they'll just light the cigar with that evil
Yeah.
smile with the iris out.
Well, with Vandy, that's they got Texas this week, and then obviously they get to host Auburn. I mean, you got to think that as an Auburn fan, you're going to watch that game and just be in the mindset of like, we thought that that's what Jackson Arnold was a guy who could run around, throw the ball, and just manage plays. Whereas Jackson Arnold just literally wants to not make massive mistakes, and he's willing to get sacked 60 times a season to keep from throwing an interception. And so, he got benched right after some sooner on sooner crime. This past week, he threw the pick six to Kenai Walker. Both guys were on the Sooners last year. And that it was kind of poetic. But, Jackson Arnold's probably the future quarterback of Sam Houston State at this point.
Oh man. I don't even know if Sam Houston State wants to deal with him at this point. Like, good grief.
I don't know if maybe it's a coaching trajectory from this point on for Jackson. I'm not sure,
Oh
but
man.
Vandy, just looking at Vandy's schedule, I mean, I think that we were doing a preseason ranking of coaches before the year last year, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of the guys, and there's guys from Auburn, guys from Georgia, guys from Alabama, we were kind of doing a big roundtable, and I'm pretty sure that the only reason why Clark Lee wasn't number 16 on that list was because Jeff Levy hadn't coached a game yet. And to turn around and go like, dude has a blank check waiting for him, from Vanderbilt and probably whoever else. So, but I mean, you get Texas this week. I think that's a winnable game for them. I think that they can string Texas out left and right. Now, I will say that Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill on Texas defense, they're starting to really catch fire right now. And so it's going to be tough because that Texas defensive line, that front seven's the strength of their team. But it's what has Texas got going on? Because there were a lot of people starting to scream for Arch Manning to maybe hit the bench and play somebody else. So it's funny to go from the golden child to get him off the field. Texas is one really good day at quarterback away from a full-on controversy
Oh,
themselves. And but Vandy, then hosts Auburn, Kentucky, and then finishes up the year rivalry at Tennessee. And so there's a very real world where we're looking at an 11-1 Vanderbilt.
oh man, like an 11-1 Vandy, that's a wild ride. I mean, like this week being ranked 7th in the AP poll, having your highest ranking since 1937, same year that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was out in theaters. The same year where you got the first full year of the second term of the Franklin Delano Roosevelt era in the U.S. presidency. And that was also the first year where January 20th was Inauguration Day instead of March 4th.
That's it's been a long time, and like I said, it just for him to be ranked, in the bottom two or three head coaches in the SEC
Wow.
before the season last year. Now, We all know what the best part of Vanderbilt is, right?
Oh yeah.
It's the SEC shorts pimp. That's the best part about Vanderbilt. I literally think people root for Vanderbilt so that they can see that guy on on the SEC shorts. I mean, it brightens my week. It
I
absolutely
know.
does.
Oh man, it's hilarious, man. I'm just getting a big laugh just thinking about it.
It's
Uh,
he's after the loss, to Bama, they had him dead on the gurney, and then he disappears, and they said, will we see him again? He says, I think we will. But man, it's Diego Pavia is like the new age Bo Nix, the dude who just won't die and just wills people to wins. But I'm more the Oregon Bo Nix, and then the games that didn't matter, Auburn Bo Nix. Like those were the ones that he just willed his team to victory.
oh man, and then get drafted in the first round, and I think we're gonna be seeing the same thing from Diego Pavia. Although Mel Kiper might not agree. Although Mel Kiper should have just retired a long time ago, but that's
Yeah,
new.
well, he also had Shadur as the best player in the draft, and that's turning out well for him. He
Oh
also
yeah.
believed that Jimmy Clausen was the next coming of
Oh, yeah,
of,
he said he was
Joe.
gonna quit within 5
It.
years or so.
I'll say this: I'm a Broncos fan. I lived through drafting Tim Tebow. I lived through all the crap quarterbacks in between, John Elway and Peyton Manning. And I will say this is I don't think that I don't think that Bo Nix is as successful as he is with any other head coach. Just because of the fact that that's just that dink and dunk, just keep you just always guessing. That's a big thing with Denver's offense right now is you don't have a superstar Justin Jefferson or Malik Neighbors or anything like that at wide receiver. You just have a bunch of guys who are good at wide receiver. And your bet is that your number 3 and your number 4 guys are going to break loose more often than your third and fourth best defensive back.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he just keeps it going. I mean, I'm thrilled. Scoring what was it, 30 some odd points in the fourth quarter against the Giants, and then just absolutely putting the smack down this past weekend. I'm pretty excited as a Broncos fan for the first
Oh,
time in
man,
several years.
the Cowboys have never beaten the Broncos in the 21st century, like, that's just so funny, like, good grief.
There's been some battles. I know that one year, one of the Peyton Manning years, is Peyton Manning versus Tony Romo, and I mean I want to say that was the record-setting year by Peyton Manning. Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, a tight end, Eric Decker out at wide receiver. I mean, the game ended. Man, I want to say like 52-45 or something like that. Really, really entertaining game. But yeah, I mean, Dallas Cowboys. I live in Oklahoma, so we see a lot of Dallas Cowboys stuff around here.
Oh, man, the '90s called said they want their memorabilia back.
Well, going back into stats, I feel like we're really, really close to seeing a stat come across the board, and it says, the last time this happened, the Dallas Cowboys won an NFL title, and people could go, man, that long ago.
Mhm. But we'll never get that with any other team. It's always the Dallas Cowboys this, Dallas Cowboys that. It's like Cowboys haven't been relevant since the '90s.
It's been a hot minute, that's for sure.
Ugh, it's like Cowboys get irritated. But my good buddy Austin is big fan of Cowboys, so I'll be nice to the Cowboys for his sake. So shout out to Sports Talk with Austin.
Well, my wife's a big Cowboys fan too, and though she doesn't consume football like I do, she's we don't really out loud smack talk the Cowboys around here either.
That's
They usually take care of that themselves.
There you go. So note to self: don't be pulling for the Eagles. There you go.
100%.
Oh man. Well, all right, you've got some magic cooking with Jay Smith from Unfair Sports. What have y'all got cooking this week?
Yeah, we'll be going live tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. We
Ooh,
typically go live. We either do a pre-record in the morning and then go live at 6, or we just go straight live at 6. We always go at 6 o'clock on Sunday. That's 6 p.m. Central. And man, it's a big weekend because you really risk losing the fan base again. Like I was saying, there's a lot of people already asking for, a lot of position coaches to get the axe. Comments around specific players, and it's just why they call them fans, right? It's because it's short for fanatical, and so if you want to peek in and get a little 2 week. I guess, preview of Alabama and what we're thinking about that. We'll probably be hitting that up here, after we get through Tennessee. But it's going to be a good challenge. You go on the road. Brent Venables has not had the most phenomenal record against top 25 teams, and until he makes the change and changes the narrative, it's the narrative's true. It's there for a reason.
there you go, man. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that Eric Cooper is making all right here on Unfair Sports. And of course, and you said the live stream's Wednesday night, 6 p.m.
Yes, sir. 6 p.m. on Wednesday nights and Sunday nights.
Oh, there you go. Well, you're on a premiere for Wednesday night as we pre-record at 4:55 p.m. on a Tuesday. Hey, we break the fourth wall here, all right here on the Jacksonian. So it's like
Hey,
no rules against breaking the fourth wall.
there's going to be on the both sides. So if you're watching this and you get done, hop over to the channel. You get to watch it pre-recorded, and also we've got a pretty cool sponsor with Sleeper Fantasy, so we got a big promo. So come check us out and use that promo because number one, it helps it out. Number two, it helps you make money.
There you go, man. And of course, you can check out the last 84 episodes of the Jacksonian on Jackson Johnson 979, where I've got some magic on there. Like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever. I'm now 282 subs away from that magic number 1,000. I'll definitely need all the help I can get to getting there before the end of the year. And of course, you can check me out on Alabama at the Voice of College Football, where Jeffrey and I were live discussing the recruiting updates, the final takeaways of Alabama, South Carolina, which includes having to work on the run game on both sides of the ball for the Crimson Tide. And of course, you can check out yesterday's edition of Alabama Primetime Live with Locked On Bama host Luke Robinson and Jimmy Stein, where Jimmy Stein also does cover Crimson, and Mountaineer Paul from Locked On West Virginia, where we've got all kinds of magic there. And let's just say we did our best. Well, you'll know on episode 34 of Primetime Live. I won't spoil too much. And for more updates, what I've got going on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, the Jacksonian Pits Analysis with Sports Talk with Austin, Final Whistle, and Once Week Calls on the Feinbaum Show, and Jackson's World of College Football with Mountaineer Paul and Lotto, West Virginia. Check me out on Jats VOCFB on X/Twitter and on Instagram and Threads, Jackson Jots 543908. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever or another episode, and we will be seeing you soon. Take care, everybody.